If your Nintendo Switch 2 looks kind of off, yeah, you're not alone. Out of the box, the picture settings are far from perfect. Colours can look washed out, HDR might be doing more harm than good, and you probably are not getting the refresh rate you paid for. But don't worry. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact settings to fix it. Sharper graphics, smoother gameplay, and proper HDR, all just a few tweaks away. Let's fix your Switch 2. Before you dive into Mario Kart World or whatever Switch 2 game you're obsessed with, there are a few settings inside your Switch that can seriously level up the way your games look and sound. Some of them are great by default, but others, not so much. They're holding your experience back, so this stuff matters. Let's go through the settings one by one, starting with the first two big things that are most likely to mess up your image. The Switch 2 can output up to 4K, but here's the catch. At 4K, you're locked to 60 Hz, which means 60 frames per second, which is honestly fine. Playing Fast Fusion at 4K 60 is an absolute joy and looks amazing on the Switch 2, so it's no huge loss. But at 1440p or 1080p, you unlock 120 Hz mode, which means buttery smooth 120 frames per second in supported games. Make sure you go to System Settings, Display, TV Resolution, and try both 1440p or 1080p, especially if you have a high refresh rate TV that is capable of 120 frames per second. But let's be real for a second, we don't even know which games will be supporting or going beyond 60 FPS yet and how many will support this feature. Well, apart from the one I am really looking forward to that I'm surprised was not a launch title on the system, and is one of the few we know about, that is Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Jeez, this game looks good. So unless Nintendo tells us about a bunch of new games that support 120 FPS gaming, I'm keeping my settings at 4K, as I like the sharp visuals and my main gaming TV is only 60 FPS. But if I switch over to my gaming monitor, I'll drop it to 1440p for the perfect balance of performance and sharpness. I genuinely think 1440p is the sweet spot right now for the Switch if you're talking about high frame rate, high res gaming. So keep that one in mind, people, if you want the best of both worlds. But also, let's be honest here, it's really not a big deal. Even today, 1080p looks pretty good on a big screen, so don't stress out if you don't have a fancy TV that can do it all. Next, let's talk about the other big one which makes a huge difference to your image, and that is HDR. There are two settings you need to know about. The first one is just a simple on-off toggle. If your TV supports HDR, you'll want this on, but even if your current TV doesn't, still leave it on, as the Switch 2 will auto-detect HDR when you upgrade further down the line. Now the second HDR option is a little bit sneakier. Scroll a bit and you'll find one called HDR output for software. You can set this to 3 different options, either off, compatible software only, or for all software. Here's the thing, for all software sounds tempting, but do not fall for it. It can actually make non-HDR games look a lot worse, with some really crushed blacks, weird lighting, and just the colors looking totally off. It really can make your game look terrible. Instead, set it to compatible software only. This way, HDR only kicks in for games that were actually built with HDR gaming in mind. To find this, simply go to System Settings, Display and HDR Output. Next up is something called RGB Range. This controls how much color depth your Switch sends to your TV, and it can be a bigger deal than it sounds, as by default it's set to automatic, which might be fine, but if your TV supports it, change this to full range. So if you've got a really fancy 4K OLED TV, definitely switch it to full range. There's a high chance it will support it. This gives you deeper blacks, brighter highlights, and way more color detail overall. Just double check again, your TV supports full RGB. Just Google it and I'm sure you'll be able to find out everything about your model of TV. Most modern LG, Sony and Samsung models support this, so you should be good to go. If not, it's all good. just stick with limited. This next setting does not actually impact how your game looks on the TV, but it impacts how quickly you can get into your game on the TV. So this one is all about convenience, but once you get used to it, in my opinion, there's no going back. I set this up on all my consoles, and this is called Match TV Power State. And this is basically Nintendo's version of CEC, which when it's enabled, just means that when you turn on your Switch 2, it will automatically turn on your TV and switch it to the correct input. That means no more hunting for the remote, no more input shuffling, trying to remember which input did you plug your Switch's HDMI cable into. You're always going between 1 to 3 thinking, wait a minute, I thought I had it in 3 and it's not finding anything. What's going on? When you actually had it in 1. None of that. Just hit the power button on your Switch 2 and jump into the game, race in Mario Kart World or shoot people in Cyberpunk or whatever. You're all good. ALLM, also known as Auto Low Latency Mode, is a fancy way of saying game mode. Yes, it tells your TV to reduce lag when gaming, and if you're the kind of person who notices input delay, this is a setting you must turn on. It should be on by default, but just double check just to be safe. And if it's not, turn it on. When it's on, games feel a little bit snappier, a little bit more responsive, and overall more fluid. So this is a really simple, just turn this on no matter what. Everyone should have this switched on. Now that our visuals are looking a little bit more crisp, let's talk about audio. Let's talk about sound. Out of the box, your Switch 2 probably has its audio set to automatic. That works okay. But if you've got a proper soundbar or surround setup, you can make your Switch 2 sound a whole lot better really quickly. Go into System Settings, Audio, and then TV Sound, and switch it to Linear PCM 5.1. Boom. Instant surround sound, instant success. Cyberpunk and all your games sound way, way better. Now, unfortunately, this isn't Dolby Atmos. There's none of that here on the Switch, but 5.1 PCM still gives you way better audio than basic stereo does. So definitely switch this one on. Now, what about the audio to your headset? You know, your Bluetooth gaming headset. This one's a good one here as well. Bluetooth audio. This is great for late night gaming, especially if you're playing Mario Kart World in bed and someone's sleeping next to you, or, you know, you're just trying to be stealthy on the train and not annoy the person you're sitting next to, or even on a plane. Pair your favorite wireless headphones or even a Bluetooth speaker. If you want to be noisy, I guess, you might be playing this out in your garden or out in the park, whatever floats your boat. But here's what you need to know. Go into audio settings and turn off lower maximum headphone volume. Yes, it's there to protect your ears, I know that, and keep it on if you want, but it can make your audio weirdly quiet sometimes, even when your audio is maxed out. So I like to turn this one off so I can feel the sound. You know what I mean? And just like that, your Nintendo Switch 2 should be looking and sounding way better than it did out of the box. And if you want to know which Nintendo Switch 2 accessories are actually worth buying, that video's coming up here next.